faster in Cinebench R15 multi-thread compared again to the 6900K, which may or may not be throttling. Also interesting, however, was the Cinebench R15 one thread, so the single thread score, which was identical to the i7 6900K at 162 points. Now we believe that the 1800X probably running around 4.1 GHz, and the way that these numbers make sense would be if that were the case and if the i7 6900K was running Turbo Boost 3. And at the very end of the slide deck we can see the system configurations. It's a rather small table, but I found a bigger one. And on closer inspection, we can see that the 6900K did in fact have Turbo Boost 3 at 4 GHz. To be frank, I would not have enabled this had I been AMD, as to me it's simply just like overclocking. It's a bit of a grey area though, but it's interesting to see that given the choice here, AMD has chosen to put their competitor's CPU in the best light. Now maybe they didn't do that with the stock cooler. There has been some talk about them only using dual channel memory. Obviously Intel's high-end desktop CPUs can run quad channel, but it doesn't actually make any difference to Cinebench. The results are identical, regardless of whether it runs dual or quad channel. But we can see here in this table that they did use the Intel stock cooler, Turbo Boost 3 on, and dual channel memory. Whether or not the 1800X will win more than it loses once the reviews are out, we're going to have to wait and see. Regardless of that, it's incredibly impressive already. And finally we got the Ryzen 7 1700. The world's lowest power 8-core desktop processor. Once again it's 8-core 16 threads at 3 GHz base, so it's pretty low base clock, and a 3.7 GHz turbo, but only a 65 watt TDP. I think it's safe to say that the ghost of Bulldozer's terrible power draw is being laid to rest here, and then some. 16 threads at 65 watts TDP, that is incredible engineering, and this one is going up against the 7700K. Now, I actually talked about this in a recent video where I suggested that AMD would put an 8-core 8-thread CPU up against the 7700K. As it stands, there does not appear to be any 8-core 8-thread CPUs, reason for which is AMD's simultaneous multi-threading appears to be very, very good. But I was expecting an 8-core 8-thread CPU with higher clock speeds. But apart from that, I pretty much nailed this one because AMD is offering more cores and more threads, but they're also being honest about this because Lisa did state on numerous occasions that the 7700K does have higher clock speeds. This is a tough matchup because obviously the 7700K is a very popular gaming CPU, which really comes down to its clock speed. As you might expect, the 1700 absolutely smashes the 7700K in Cinebench R15 multi-thread, but do take note that AMD is not showing the single-threaded score. But Cinebench wasn't the only benchmark on show, so let's take a look at what else we got to see.
What you're seeing here is actually a gaming demo showing the new Sniper Elite 4. And both systems are actually using our dual Radeon RX 480s in Crossfire. On the left-hand side, you see Intel 6900K. On the right-hand side, you see Ryzen 7 1800X. You can also see the frames per second in the upper right there. You can see both are running about mid-70s or so.
At the start, I actually thought the Intel system was running better, and it did appear to be. However, it became obvious that the AMD system appeared to have much higher FPS scores at certain points. There's an almost identical scene, and we can clearly see the lead for the AMD CPU. It was pretty fleeting, however, but it wasn't the only time. And at yet another point, in this comparison image, we can see that the AMD system almost hit 100 FPS. At the same point where the Intel system only had 74 FPS. I've had a good look through this a few times now, and it's pretty clear, especially towards the end, that the Ryzen 1800X would have had a higher average frame rate here, quite often in the 80s, whereas the Intel system spent more time in the 70s and never actually went above 80 frames per second. I don't know exactly what it means, but we have seen before that Ryzen appears to be pretty good, at least against the 6900K. In gaming. The last time we saw it was in Battlefield 1, where the CPUs were pretty much tied, although some commentators had suggested that it was running better on the Ryzen system. You might know that Battlefield 1 is a very well multi-threaded game, and that may explain it. And the obvious answer here is once again, Sniper Elite is likely to be very well multi-threaded, and it is of course running DX12. But from what I can tell about the game's CPU performance scaling, over at Guru 3D, they found basically identical performance between even 2 cores and 8 cores. And over at Dark Side of Gaming, we see the same thing. Even in DX12, this game relies heavily on a single CPU core or thread. I've got no idea how valid this is, but it seems pretty interesting all the same.
Every major motherboard vendor has an AM4 Ryzen platform, multiple AM4 Ryzen platforms. We will have more than 82 motherboards at launch. This is our best ecosystem ever. And for those of you who want to buy your systems pre-built, we also have a large array of options here. We have more than 19 boutique PC builders that will be available on day 1 of launch, and that will increase over the next 30 days to 200 different system builders worldwide that will have Ryzen-based systems. And these systems, as you know, will be absolutely gorgeous and have tremendous capability. So as you move forward, you can not only expect the boutique system builders, but over the next couple of months, you can expect every major OEM to have a gaming tower with AMD Ryzen. Again, this is the broadest ecosystem that we've had because there's tremendous pent-up demand for Ryzen.
AMD's best ever ecosystem with 82 motherboards. I certainly can never remember a time when AMD had 82 motherboards released for a platform, over 200 boutique system builders worldwide to start with, and then every major OEM. And this one is important because there was some talk that maybe Ryzen wasn't good enough because the major OEM guys, we're talking guys like Lenovo, Dell, HP, those guys, they didn't seem all that interested. But now we've learned that every major OEM will have at least one gaming tower, and these guys are obviously very important in terms of volume. If AMD is to get back up to 20 plus market share, they have to be in with these guys, and it seems that they are, which shouldn't be a surprise because Ryzen is clearly a very capable CPU. There's only one thing left to talk about then, and that is the prices. The Ryzen 7 1800X at 9% faster than the Core i7 6900K by AMD's own numbers, the new 8-core desktop performance champion will be less than half the price. $499 for the Ryzen 7 1800X compared to $1,050 for the i7 6900K. I think it's safe to say that the i7 won't cost $1,050 for much longer. The Ryzen 7 1700X comes in at $399, $25 cheaper than the Core i7 6800K, a CPU which is simply no match for it. By my reckoning, the 1700X will be a very popular CPU indeed. The i7 is going to need a massive price drop to remain relevant. And finally, the Ryzen 7 1700 with its significant multi-threaded advantage over the i7 7700K for less money. $329 versus $350. For me, this is the tougher sell because people are going to look at the gaming performance, and there's just no way that this Ryzen 7 can compete with the 7700K. Not yet, but over time, the more threads could of course become relevant. And it also has to be said, in GPU bound situations you would expect these CPUs to perform basically identically. There may well be more interesting options for gamers later on though, when we see the 6-core 12-thread CPUs. So that's pretty much wrapping it up for Ryzen on the shelf worldwide on March the 2nd. You can probably figure out when the reviews are going to go live as well. And pre-orders are now available. From what I can tell, rather unsurprisingly, they are selling out really fast. 2016 was not a great year for tech. 2017 has got off to the best possible start. Competition is what is good for you, and it's been a very, very long time since we had it in the CPU space. You can probably figure out that I'll be pretty busy next week. I'll catch you later, guys.
secrets will uncover.
Golems are a girl's best friend. I have no time for games.
I'm not ready.
You have no fun!
Behold the rage of the Firelands!
Let none survive.
By the power of Ragnaros, I have the power!
Shields up! I got this. I got this. Oh!
Eyes are open. shall be mine.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Francis. I got a question. You guys know what I did today? I scrolled through my Twitter timeline, looking at all the different people holding up their free Nintendo Switch and their free copy of Breath of the Wild, okay? Oh, look, this YouTuber got one, and this YouTuber got one, and this YouTuber got one. Oh, you know what else I did? I scrolled through my YouTube timeline to see like 8 million people unboxing their brand new free Nintendo Switch. He got a free Nintendo Switch and she got a free Nintendo Switch. Oh look, he got a free Nintendo Switch. Recommended, watch me unbox my free Nintendo Switch. You know what I did do today was I didn't play my free copy of Breath of the Wild on my free Nintendo Switch. That's what I fucking didn't do today. And look, I understand, okay? I didn't get it because I'm not the biggest YouTuber. I mean, I'm factually the biggest YouTuber, but I'm not the biggest YouTuber. I get it. You gotta send one to Bernie Burns, okay? You gotta send one over to Funhouse. You gotta send one over to the Game Grumps and the Yogscast, okay? I get that. I understand that, all right? But you have to send it to all these little fucking YouTubers that are smaller than me too? Like fucking random people like COD Noob Killer or Mario Worry Smoke a Bowl 420. You send it to people with like 9,000 followers. I got 3.8 million. Why don't I fucking matter? And I know why. It's because I'm critical of your bullshit. Oh, but Francis, if you had just joined our Nintendo YouTuber program and given us 20% of your income, we would have sent you one. I want to keep my own money. Okay, well, 20% of my income is a lot more than a $300 piece of plastic, okay? It's not about money. I got money. Money is what I got. Look, that's why I used to buy your fucking dead Wii U and your fucking dead 3DS and your soon to be dead 3DS XLs and your fucking 3DS new 3DS. I have money. It's the fact that people are playing Legend of Zelda right now, and they're gonna spoil this shit for me, and I don't want any fucking spoilers! You guys don't like the fact that I'm critical about your YouTuber program. You guys don't like the fact that I'm critical about your games, and critical about your business practices, and you're afraid I'd be critical of the Nintendo Switch because I can't be bought off with a $300 piece of plastic, and that's why you're gonna let these fucking people spoil Zelda for me, right? Right? Well, two can play in this game, Nintendo. If you want me to fucking be critical of you, I will. I'll tell you what I think about the Nintendo Switch. I think the Nintendo Switch is really cool and really innovative. And I pre-ordered one the day I could. In fact, I pre-ordered two so I could have one for me and one for my sister. And I wish I had it right now, and I wish I had Legend of Zelda right now so I could play it without spoilers. Because I waited for that game ever since I bought a fucking Wii U. And now that you guys have been critical of me, I understand how it feels. And I'm just really sorry if I hurt your feelings. And I just don't want Reggie to be mad at me. I'm sorry, Reggie.
Once upon a time.
Well, I guess what's done is done. I pissed off Nintendo. And now I'm just gonna have to log off the internet till my Switch comes. God damn it. God damn it.
Hey everyone, this is Andy Rafael from eTechnics.com, and we've got something special here at the MSI booth. Basically, they've got a whole host of things going on, so we've got motherboards over there which we're going to cover, graphics cards, but they are showing something off that is really, really cool. As you can see, these are kind of the first glimpses of two motherboards from MSI featuring the new AMD sockets. So straight away we've got the B350 Tomahawk here. That's going to confuse a few people because obviously the B series Intel has kind of had the naming on that. But that's the B350 Tomahawk. I can't really say much about it because frankly I don't know. And then we've got the X370 X-Power Gaming Titanium. So really I just wanted to do a short video just to show you guys exactly what's going on here. Spec-wise, you can see on these cards, as I say, I don't know too much about these, either do the reps at MSI. Our rep at MSI, this is actually the first time he's seen these boards. So hopefully we're going to have a lot more information about these as CES continues. But until next time, keep following us on social media and we'll have a lot more content for you very, very soon.
What's up guys, I'm Dimitri with Hardware Canucks, and AMD's Ryzen is coming down the pipeline very soon, and everyone is excited about what it could offer as a competition for Intel's higher end processors. With it so close to being officially released, CES 2017 is providing a perfect platform for motherboard manufacturers to show us what they will have to offer when the Ryzen becomes available. Some of this stuff is pretty exciting since we haven't seen anything truly new on the AMD chipset side for a very long time. A few of Gigabyte's upcoming Ryzen-ready motherboards were shown behind closed doors for us during the show, and we got a close look at three of them. The AX370 Gaming 5, the AX370 Gaming K5, and the AB350 Gaming 3. So let's start things off with the Gaming 5, a motherboard that uses AMD's upcoming 370 series chipset. While actual pricing wasn't discussed, Gigabyte and every other motherboard manufacturer we talked to so far made it evident that they are initially targeting the mid-range category with their AM4 boards. While higher-end products may be available in the future, it seems like everyone is approaching Ryzen and its Summit Ridge platform as a value-focused solution. As for the Gaming 5, it uses Gigabyte's new Aorus branding, which will be added to all of their premium gaming-focused products. It uses a 6+2 phase PWM for the CPU and DDR4, and it has well-spaced 3 primary PCIe X16 slots that can be used for either dual-card SLI or triple crossfire, and those slots are reinforced with metal to provide some additional support for heavier GPUs. Being their more expensive option, the Gaming 5 has a lot of interesting features. There's onboard power and auto OC buttons, a killer E2500 Ethernet chipset, an M.2 slot with access to 4 PCIe 3.0 lanes, and Gigabyte's Amp Up audio, which has replaced Op Amp for modifying sound signature at the hardware level. One very interesting addition is the U.2 connector for ultra-fast storage, which until now has been an exclusive to higher-end Intel motherboards. It looks like AMD is licensing this from Intel, which is definitely a development to be taken note of. There are some hallmarks here too that you will see on all of Gigabyte's Ryzen supporting motherboards. The RGBW header for LED control is a Gigabyte specific development that adds a dedicated white channel to the typical RGB for enhanced white level control. It is also backwards compatible with the 3-pin RGB headers too. The socket actually hasn't changed all that much between the older AM3 and the new AM4. It still uses plastic retention brackets from previous series, which you will certainly want to remove if installing aftermarket coolers, and the socket itself is an almost carbon copy of its predecessor visually. Gigabyte's Aorus Gaming K5 will be based off the Gaming 5, but it will be offered with a lower price point too. Things like reinforced PCIe slots, amp up audio, SATA Express ports, and overclock buttons, and the RGBW headers are still carried over. However, the U.2 port and some other minor items have been eliminated. You can also see Gigabyte has given this more of a stealthy appearance than the Gaming 5, with the black shrouds for the I/O area and the chipset, and other than those, the difference between the two boards are, right now at least, very minimal since both use the same 370 series chipset. And finally, this is Gigabyte's GA AB350 Gaming 3 motherboard, which, as its name suggests, uses AMD's lower-end 350 series chipset and doesn't make use of the premium Aorus branding. This means less connectivity options and features, but at a much lower price. On this board, Gigabyte has gone with a basic layout that still has 2 primary PCIe X16 slots that are reinforced and make use of some LED accents. However, Don't expect things like SATA Express, onboard diagnostic readouts, or more capable PWM headers. This is truly a value-focused product. But one thing you might have noticed in some of our shots is that all of these boards have some form of backplate display connector, even though Ryzen processors will not have any onboard graphics capabilities. The reason for this is pretty simple. The Summit Ridge platform and the AM4 socket will be compatible with upcoming APUs built using the Zen architecture. Therefore, any AM4 motherboard can also be used for next generation APUs. And so that's all we have to talk about for now about these new AM4 Ryzen motherboards. Everyone around here and at the show are super excited about seeing what AMD has to offer in the coming months, and I'm sure that we'll be seeing a lot more of Gigabyte's boards very soon. Thanks again for watching our coverage for CES, and we'll be back with more soon.
Engaging TC-130 into dislocator.
Time's up.
Bitwit's coverage of CES 2017 is brought to you by Fractal Design, MSI, and CableMod. Check out the links in the description below, or I will direct the next Star Wars film.
All right, we're at the MSI booth now, taking a look at Gus. Good old Gus. This takes the cake for my favorite product name at CES 2016 for an electronic component. It's Gus. It's just so wholesome and fun. I believe it stands for something. If you look at the spec sheet here, it's clearly an acronym, but I even asked some people at MSI, they were like, we don't know what the hell it stands for. So I like Gus. I'm just going to keep it like that. But basically what Gus is, he's kind of like the core, if you're familiar with at all with the core from Razer. Of course, this one's way better. You've got a GTX 1080 in here right now. This is an external GPU enclosure that you can actually connect to something like the Intel NUC over here via Thunderbolt 3 and essentially run high-end games off of a relatively low-powered system with a GPU of your choice. You can either do NVIDIA or AMD graphics inside of this thing. It does, again, connect via Thunderbolt 3, and the way this is getting powered here is a 500-watt built-in power supply, which is 80+ gold certified. Obviously, the NUC can't drive a GTX 1080, so that's how they solved the issue there. There's also a couple connectivity options in the back. You do get USB 3.0 Type A and Type C. I believe there's 2 Type A ports and 1 Type C port, which is always nice to see. You've got plenty of ventilation at the top here, and it's just a kind of nice looking enclosure all around. You get a bit more at the front. USB 3.0 at the front as well, and I think MSI is saying that this is going to retail for around $500. That is a little bit on the steep side, however. It is going to be offset by a cheaper unit, a cheaper system that you'd have to buy. The Intel NUC is obviously not super pricey, so there's a bit of a give and take there. And I believe we're going to be seeing this anywhere between Q2 and Q3 of 2017. Thanks, Gus. You rock. All right, so now we're taking a look at MSI's Mystic Light app. This is an application I have not seen before, but as the name might suggest, this is all about RGB control, not just for your motherboard, but for a variety of components. You can see there's quite a selection here. What's actually really cool about this, apart from it being able to do, you know, the typical 16.8 million colors and having a variety of effects here. Actually, first off, let's take a look at that. Lighting effects, okay, that's just on and off, flashing. They've got quite a few effects here to choose from. You can also do some music selection and actually have it sync to the music that you want to play. Color wheel right there. What I was going to say is cool about this is that it's actually compatible with certain other third-party components. So we've actually got, if you look over to the system that it's connected to, that we're running off of, there's some HyperX DDR4 in this system. It's not an MSI product, it's not an MSI motherboard, but it's still able to connect and communicate with the software in order for you to pretty much change it to your heart's content. So we're going to go ahead and select green. Well, first off, we have to select HyperX DIMM DDR4, just like that. And then let's just change that to green, because green is awesome. I'm going to hit apply. And if we look over here, it immediately changes to that particular effect. All right, we are now faced with a wall of motherboards. Look at all these boards. We're going to go through all of them. Maybe not every single one, but I'm gonna hit the main ones that are pretty cool. First of all, they've got them organized in these different groups, different tiers, if you will. We've got the Enthusiast Gaming Series, Performance. That says Arsenal. I know the light's super bright. And then the Pro Series, which is for professionals. So we're going to start with the Enthusiast Series, which is exactly what it sounds like for the hardcore gamers, like a lot of you guys are out there.
So this is the Z270 X-Power Gaming Titanium. You guys are probably familiar with this board, at least the Z170 version, which is the one I used in the silver build a couple months ago for PC of the Month. Now, a couple nice additions to the Z270 model, which is triple M.2 slots. You get 1, 2, 3, you can see right there. The one in the middle actually has a shroud with a thermal pad underneath for better dissipation of heat. For a drive, I mean, sometimes M.2 drives, if you use them quite frequently or for long periods of time, can get pretty hot, so that should actually help cool things down a bit. We've also got an overclocking button here. I believe this was on the last generation as well, but if you look at the back, actually it's impossible to look at the back. They've got USB 3.1 Type-C. That's Gen 2 actually, so none of that rebranded USB 3.1 stuff. This is pure Gen 2. You can see they're still keeping with the titanium theme. Everything looks really nice and shimmery and stuff. Why don't we go ahead and move on down to our next board, which is the Z270 Gaming M7. Now you guys might recognize this board from a recent video I did on the Kaby Lake launch. Or Kaby Lake, tomato. But this is a really nice board. I've actually been enjoying it so far, working with it back at home. And some special things about this, other than RGB LED, of course, pretty much all over the board. You can turn these off if you so wish, because, you know, RGB LEDs aren't for everyone, of course. We've got an overclocking button at the bottom, just kind of like we saw with the titanium. There's also a USB 3.1 Gen 2 motherboard header right here that is completely built in. It's really nice. The titanium doesn't even have that. There's also a Type-C version of that on the back, also Gen 2. Again, I can't really show you that because it's we're kind of in a corner here. But overall, a very nice, clean aesthetic. We've also got 3 M.2s right here as well. So if you wanted to put in triple drives, you could also go into MSI's BIOS and do a RAID 0 setup with 3 of those drives for super fast storage. Worth it! And you've also got steel-plated turbo U.2 right here on the motherboard next to your SATA ports. Fancy. And here we have the Performance Series. This is one notch down from the Enthusiast boards. Still very full-featured and whatnot, but maybe slightly more affordable as well. So right now we're looking at the Z270 Gaming Pro Carbon, and you can see why it's called that. There's plenty of carbon fiber accents, both on the chipset heatsink and the VRM heatsink and the rear I/O shield as well. It does also support, let's see, is it three-way? Yeah, three-way Crossfire and two-way NVIDIA SLI, which is pretty nice to see. You also get 2 of those turbo M.2 slots right here with one of the shields. One shield right there. It does have plenty of RGB LEDs on it. Maybe not quite as much as the M7, but still definitely enough to kind of give your chassis and your system a nice look and feel for customizability and things like that. Now look at this, the audio tracing. The audio tracing has RGB LEDs in it. That's pretty sweet. And even behind the board, all right? So you get kind of a nice effect on the side of the board.